You need to be bringing the fire with you in every loadout in Helldivers 2. With the recent patch we got, fire has never been more powerful, and you need to be incorporating it in some shape or form every chance you get. In this video, we will go over the top weapons, throwables, and stratagems I think you should be adding to your loadouts, and how to balance them out in order to help you spread some much needed managed democracy. So first up we have the Flam-66 Torture. The Torture is essentially the primary version of the Flamethrower. Now the Flamethrower support weapon version does boast more damage per second and higher fuel capacity per canister, but the Torture has easier handling and more overall ammo in the long run. With the recent buff, the incendiary effect has drastically increased to where the Torture is now way more usable and the superior of the two in my opinion. The primary version will also allow you to bring yet another airstrike or maybe sentry with you to help round out your loadout.
Canister's empty!
Next up we have the incendiary shotguns, starting off with the SG-451, better known as the Cookout. This puppy here packs a punch with its 320 damage per shot. It is reloaded per round, which allows you to shoot mid-reload instead of having to wait for the full cartridge to reload, which can save you in a pinch. It is light armor penetrating, but with the incendiary effect you can take advantage of weak spots on enemies and still inflict some serious damage on them. It also has a staggering effect to where it'll knock back your enemies with every round. Ooh, look at that stagger. That guy was charging. Next up is the SG-225IE Breaker Incendiary Shotgun. The Breaker Incendiary is a shotgun that shoots a wider spread burst of incendiary pellets that is more suited for crowds. It too is light armor pen and also has more customization options than the Cookout. Besides the sight, you have underbarrel options as well as muzzle attachments that can significantly reduce the spread of the pellets. Keep in mind the damage is significantly less at 240 compared to the Cookout's 320, so it will have less stagger and not be as effective against bigger enemies like the Chargers.
Feels good!
Moving on to secondaries, we have the P-72 Crisper. The Crisper essentially is a pocket-sized torture that boasts the same damage per second at 380, but has 70% less capacity. Now the Crisper is nice in that it is one-handed, so in situations where you're running away from a crowd or holding onto the hard drive potentially, you can still use it. It too, like the Torture, is heavy armor penetrating, so it still can take out big enemies if you're close enough. If you are enjoying this video, be sure to share, like, and subscribe, and also be sure to check out our merch shop where you can find all kinds of cool Helldivers inspired merch that you can't find anywhere else. Moving on to throwables, we will start off with the G-10 standard incendiary and its brother, the G-13 incendiary impact grenades. The biggest difference, of course, is the fuse with the standard, whereas the impact explodes immediately. Now the trade-off is that standard has double the damage, so if you can time that fuse just right, the extra damage is definitely worth it. Both are solid options in my opinion, but just depends on your playstyle. Next up we have arguably the best throwable in the whole game, the G-123 Thermite, and at 2000 damage it packs a tremendous punch. As an anti-tank it can replace the recoilless rifle for any kind of missile as far as a support weapon goes, or if you don't want to bring the ultimatum and free up your secondary slot. And then lastly in the throwables we have the G-142 Pyrotech. The Pyrotech is going to be a repurposed firework that essentially showers its immediate surrounding area in sparks before exploding. Probably my favorite bomb right now to use. Overall damage is 50, but the way it kind of spins and is able to inflict the incendiary effect overall in the area is pretty amazing. And if you actually use it and put it at the bottom or at the feet of the harvesters and illuminate, it actually can travel up its legs and put it on fire to where it puts massive damage on it. And if you put two, it usually takes it out pretty quickly. So we're going to go through these support weapons here in the stratagems. We kind of talked briefly about the flamethrower here, but like we talked about, I think the Torture is kind of the better call here, but keep in mind the flamethrower does more damage overall and fuel in the canister itself, the canister, but the Torture has more overall. And then moving down here we have the Napalm Barrage. Napalm Barrage does a ton of damage. Keep in mind though, it's going to be one that takes a little bit longer for the cooldown to go through. It's also going to be one that is over a long period of time. So you want to make sure that you stay out of that area during that time, and also the vicinity of it. It's a pretty big vicinity that it takes to hit. And then of course we have the napalm, the eagle version of that, eagle napalm airstrike, also very good. This one you have 3 at one given time, and then it also rearms, so keep that in mind that you can do 3 back to back, just kind of how we do with the 500k. And then moving down here we have of course the incendiary mines. Incendiary is, for me, the mines I think are more for probably one that's more like a defense mission. Now, that's just me. I know a lot of people take them out and they'll like use them, especially like when you have like the missions with like the flag, raise a flag, to hold down a position. I'm more of a running gun player, so I mean it's just to each his own. But they are also very good as far as damage goes and as far as holding a position. Next up we have the Flame Sentry, and then with the buff for the overall fire buff, the Flame Sentry got a huge buff with how it essentially can withstand fire damage, because before it had 0 resistance to the fire, so it would essentially take itself out within a matter of seconds. So I think it's up to 95 now, so way more usable. It definitely is a good option for in my opinion, I think the bugs and the illuminate as well, the squids. Alright, so to kind of wrap up here, as far as loadouts I think we can build with these particular weapons based on fire, I think what we can do is, if you want to go with the torture, for example, I think that's a solid enough weapon that you could potentially get away without doing a support weapon. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that, I think going with like a stalwart or a machine gun of sorts is going to be a good option, because in between the times where you have to reload, or if you're getting like bombarded and you have to kind of switch over to something, I think the stalwart, in my opinion at least, is the one to go to, because you're going to be able to reload that as well on the go, and also be able to mow down quite a bit still. That's going to be charging you. Now, if you go with something like the shotguns, the incendiary shotguns, for me, I think the cookout is the winner. I think with the extra damage you get, plus the additional pushback you get, the stagger you get with it, goes a long way, especially with bugs as they charge you. Now, with the breaker, I took it with a recent mission with the bots, and it did pretty darn good. I was pretty actually impressed with the breaker incendiary there. So the only thing I'll say about the breaker incendiary is you don't get a whole lot of ammo with it, and it goes pretty fast. So that might be a problem potentially that you run into with that. But overall, I would probably give it to the cookout here. Now with the cookout, you probably want to also pair it up with a machine gun of sorts. Now, when I took the breaker with me, I think I ended up taking the recoilless rifle, because again it was the bots, and I didn't have necessarily a thermite of sorts to take with me. That was going to be my anti-tank, so you want to kind of play that out to your best ability, because you still want to have your anti-tank, be it a thermite, or if you're deciding to take like the incendiary impact grenade or the incendiary regular grenade, you want to have like the EAT maybe, or even like I said, the recoilless rifle or some kind of like autocannon to have that anti-tank. Now moving forward here, as far as our secondaries go, the CRISPR's, like I said, a good, it's pretty fun. I'll say it's fun to use. Now it doesn't do a whole much on the bot forefront. I think it's definitely more usable with the bugs and the squids for sure. Especially like we talked about, how if you're doing a mission with like the hard drive or upload the data, having that ability to use it one-handed is pretty useful. With that said, as far as like complementing your primaries with a secondary. If you're going to be choosing one of the like torture or the cookout or the incendiary, I would not pick the crisper. I think rounding out your loadout there with like either like the ultimatum maybe, or even like the gradient pistol if you're going to be with the bugs, is going to be more important, I think. Now moving to the throwables, my go-to right now is the pyrotech. Now if I'm not taking a like we talked about, like a anti-tank in the form of a EAT, in form of a some kind of recoilless rifle or sorts, the thermite's coming with me, and it's coming with me more so with the bots for sure, and then sometimes the bugs too for like the bile titans. But lately I've been using the EAT more, so it's been kind of getting replaced with the pyrotech, especially if I'm going against the squids. The pyrotech is a must against the squids. Not only will it take out the hordes of voteless, but like we showed, it takes out the harvesters fairly quickly, and also the flesh mobs as well. The flesh mobs, now that with the buff again, they'll catch fire a lot quicker and actually stay on fire a lot longer. So yeah, I think between those particular ones, the incendiary one's a really good one. I think it's really good against the bots. Now with the bugs, because the bugs move a lot more, unless you're like doing like a bug hole, I think the pyrotech's probably the better option. But keep in mind, if you're going to be using your bomb to close the bug holes, you probably want to do something like the impact for that. But personally, I'd probably be using the grenade pistol because it's just a little more effective, and you get way more of those, and it's going to be less of a hit on you overall on your loadout. Alrighty, then going to our stratagems here, I think if you want to go with the napalm barrage or the napalm airstrike, those are pretty good. I tend to side towards an eagle because of its ability to be able to be called in back to back. But that's just me. I mean, I think the actual barrage itself does more damage, and it's a wider area, of course. But just keep in mind that cooldown time is quite a bit. It's over 3 minutes, so just keep that in mind. And then as far as kind of like rounding out with like a support weapon, I usually default to like a machine gun if I'm going to have, especially like a torch or a shotgun of sorts, to kind of have that range and also that ability to take out the in-betweens with pretty quickly. Now, I think also a good option here if you're going to be doing like thermite, like we talked about, is the EAT. The EATs, it's just undefeated, man. The cooldown time is so fast, and it's going to be good for potentially like just, I think more so like the bile titans, or I think that's going to be like far and in between, because you're going to be able to see it from afar, call it in, and then take it out from range as well. So I think for sure on the even the bot front too, but for sure the bugs, I think the bugs is a big one for that. Now moving into backpacks, I think so the recoilless rifle is a good one, especially with the bots. I usually pick the recoilless over the autocannon. Again, to each his own, they're both good. I just prefer recoilless rifle, but that's just me. Now moving on to like the actual backpacks themselves, I've been having a lot of fun with the war pack lately. The war pack is fun to use. It's going to be I think the ultimate running gun backpack. It used to be the jump pack for me. Jump pack's still cool and all, but with the war pack, you get kind of you get more movement with it, with the in between the cooldowns versus the jump pack, and then you also have the ability to like to get that satisfying explosion if you time it right with getting an enemy. Now with the hover pack, if you're doing like the torture, for example, or even the flamethrower, it's so much fun to use. The hover pack, it just unlocks a totally different play style you can use, to where you kind of just you spread the floor, you pop up, and then you can keep spreading down as well off with your torture, or even throw down like a pyrotech like we saw in the previous clips. So yeah, I think probably the only time I'd use a hover pack. I think it just kind of depends on how you feel like you want to play.
Allied destroyer has joined squadron.
But overall, I think it's just kind of a fun way to play overall.
Has left
Alright, we kicked him. I didn't want him to be waiting too long. So, and then, so yeah, back to the Gatling. Like in the Gatling's a must. If you're not bringing a machine gun, you can go with even the machine gun Sentry if you wanted to. That one's going to have a lot faster of a cooldown. It does, fire a little slower. So it's this machine gun versus this is a Gatling. Keep that in mind. But they both have medium armor pen, so it might be better to get the machine gun with you because you're almost getting, half the cooldown speed there. So to each his own. Now the flame sentry, like we talked about, is I honestly think a great call for sure the squids, as well as the bugs. Now the bugs move pretty fast, so you might want to position that a little more effectively with the bugs. And then with the bots, I mean I've never really been a big fan of fire with the bots. Now that it's been buffed, I think it's usable now. Before I don't think it was. I think for the bots, I think the only thing I probably would be using like consistently is probably like the incendiary grenades. I think those are pretty good. Probably something like the barrages. I think for like bases is pretty good as well. I haven't tried the napalm airstrike with them, but I'm sure it'd be good, just as good for like a base. But yeah, overall, I think for sure with the squids is a must, I think, and then potentially with the bugs, depending how you play. But yeah, and then of course we have the incendiary mines. I'll say these are probably good too for like bug holes. If you're going to be approaching a bug hole and you kind of want to just throw it in there and kind of just do its thing as they come out, that's a good way to rack up kills. And like we said, it's good for like defense missions. It's good for holding out positions, like with the capture the flag or capture the area, raise the flag. So I think those are good calls as well. Alrighty, y'all, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys are going to be taking with your loadout, how you're going to be incorporating fire, because right now, fire is broken. You got to find a way to kind of put it in your loadout. With any faction, I think with any faction, there's always a way to kind of incorporate fire and get that benefit of the extra buff that we got. So yeah, let me know. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Until next time, peace. Oh. Dang it, that doesn't happen.